Let's journey back to September 19, 1991. German tourists named Helmut and Erika Simon stumbled upon something truly extraordinary while exploring the majestic Similon Glacier in the Tyrolean Ötztal Alps near the Austrian-Italian border. What did he find? Stumbled upon something truly extraordinary while exploring the majestic Similon Glacier in the Tyrolean Ötztal Alps near the Austrian-Italian border. What did he find? An ancient mummified human body. Can you imagine that this frozen traveler, known as Otzi the Iceman, has been dozing off for over 5,000 years? And scientists embarked on an extraordinary journey, delving into the genetic blueprint of Otzi the Iceman. But hold on to your seats, because there's an exciting surprise coming up. A new analysis of Otzi's DNA has sent shockwaves through the scientific community. What secrets lay hidden in his genetic code? And who were Otzi's ancestors? Join us as we unravel the fascinating story of Otzi's surprising secrets. Before we dive into Otzi the Iceman's astonishing secrets, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating updates. How was Otzi discovered? Otzi's discovery is a fascinating tale of happenstance and nature's cooperation. In September 1991, Helmut and Erika Simon, two daring German travelers, were trekking across the Tisenjoch Pass, a lofty elevation of 10,530 feet, situated above the Ötztal Valley in western Austria. As they navigated the rugged terrain near the border of Austria and Italy, they stumbled upon an unexpected sight: the upper portion of a human body emerging from the ice. At first, they thought they'd stumbled upon a modern-day mountaineer who'd met an untimely end. Soon enough, the area became a hub of activity with 8 different groups, including renowned mountaineers like Hans Kammerlander and Reinhold Messner, arriving to witness the extraordinary discovery. On September 22nd, they found the remains, and the next day, they recovered them. They brought the remains, along with other surrounding evidence, into the Brook Medical Examiner's office on September 24th. He calculated that the artifacts were more than 4,000 years old based on the style of axe recovered. Subsequent examination of tissue samples indicated that the person lived approximately 5,000 years ago, in the years 3,359 to 3105 BC. Here's where it gets truly fascinating. The probabilities suggest a dramatic tale of events. More research indicates that there was a 66% probability of his death between 3239 and 3105 BC, a 33% chance between 3359 and 3294 BC, and a meager 1% chance between 3277 and 3268 BC. Otzi found himself in a tight spot, half frozen in ice from the waist down. Determined to rescue him, they brought out a pneumatic drill and ice axes to chip away at the ice. But Mother Nature had other plans, throwing a wrench in their efforts as the weather turned sour, forcing them to stop sooner than expected. The mummy was discovered resting on his stomach, arms spread. The left arm was strongly inclined to the right and rested beneath the chin. The timing of Otzi's emergence from the ice was no coincidence. The preceding summer had experienced unusually warm temperatures, which accelerated the melting of the glacier that had enveloped Otzi for millennia. Additionally, a warm Saharan wind had blown sand onto the glacier, tinting it with a reddish hue and hastening the melting process even further. Favorable weather conditions played a pivotal role in revealing Otzi's remarkably preserved remains to the world. Scientists and historians were thus able to unlock the mysteries of his ancient existence. The German hikers alerted the Austrian authorities. The discovery of Otzi triggered a rush of activity among the Austrian authorities, who initially assumed the body belonged to a mountaineer who died tragically. They felt a sense of urgency as they set out on a mission to retrieve the body from its icy tomb. However, their haste proved to be a double-edged sword. Lacking the expertise of trained archaeologists, the rescuers resorted to primitive tools like axes and jackhammers in their efforts to free Otzi from the ice. Unfortunately, Their well-intentioned but unprofessional technique had unanticipated consequences. Parts of the mummy, including his left hip and thigh, bore the brunt of the damage inflicted during the extraction process. Additionally, some of Ötzi's invaluable possessions, such as his bow, suffered irreparable harm in the chaotic attempt to unearth him. This series of missteps underscore the importance of employing proper archaeological techniques and expertise when dealing with such significant historical finds. Here's a fascinating tidbit. Otzi the Iceman sharpened his tools just days before his tragic demise. Recent analysis of the cut marks on his belongings suggests that he likely used his right hand for this task. Archaeologist Ursula Ware suggests that he might have been getting ready for some specific task or working with his newly sharpened tools. We can't say for sure if he was gearing up for a confrontation. It's a small detail, but it adds another layer to the mystery surrounding Ötzi's final days. The initial attempt to liberate Ötzi from his icy grave faced adversity in the form of unfavorable weather conditions, forcing authorities to postpone their efforts. Undeterred by this setback, they regrouped and relaunched a second rescue operation the following day. Despite their determination, the process proved to be more difficult than expected, presenting unforeseen challenges at every stage. However, the perseverance of the rescue team eventually paid off. 5 days after Ötzi's discovery, they successfully extracted the mummy from the ice, revealing him to the world. After being carefully extracted from the icy confines of the Ötztal Alps, Ötzi began a journey unlike any other. A helicopter whisked the ancient mummy away from its high-altitude resting place, carrying it down to lower ground. Upon arrival, Ötzi found himself in the capable hands of experts at the Institute of Forensic Medicine at Innsbruck Medical University in Austria. Under the watchful gaze of archaeologist Konrad Spindler, Ötzi underwent a meticulous examination, unveiling clues about his enigmatic past. Spindler's initial assessment sent shockwaves through the scientific community as he declared Ötzi to be not a modern mountaineer, but a relic of a bygone era, dating back at least 4,000 years. How did Ötzi's body manage to remain in such incredible shape over thousands of years? Ötzi's remarkable preservation is owed to the natural process of mummification, facilitated by the ice in which he was entombed for over 5 millennia. The ancient Egyptians employed elaborate mummification techniques that involved meticulous embalming procedures and the use of preservative substances. Unlike these methods, Ötzi's preservation occurred naturally without any human intervention or chemical treatments. The icy conditions of the glacier provided the perfect environment for natural mummification to take place. The extreme cold prevented the growth of bacteria and slowed down the decomposition process, effectively preserving Ötzi's organic tissues for thousands of years. Additionally, the lack of oxygen in the glacier further inhibited microbial activity, contributing to the mummification process. Following his excavation, Ötzi's journey took an unexpected turn when a jurisdictional dispute arose over his custody. Initially housed at the Institute of Forensic Medicine at the Innsbruck Medical University in Austria, Ötzi's fate hung in the balance as both Austria and Italy vied for possession of the ancient mummy. The Italian government ultimately laid claim to Ötzi, citing his proximity to the Italian border at the time of his discovery. After 6 years of deliberation, Austria relented and Ötzi was transported to his current home at the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology. Now his aged body seeks refuge in a frigid chamber that is purposely designed to be bone-chilling. Ötzi is preserved at a chilly temperature of 20.3 degrees Fahrenheit, which means -6.5 degrees Celsius, ensuring his remarkable preservation for generations to come. Why such frigid conditions? Ötzi's status as a wet mummy must be maintained, one that was naturally kept in damp rather than dry conditions. Frequent showers of sterile, icy water cover him like an icy shield, keeping his age-old secret safe. Visitors can catch a glimpse of Ötzi through a small window, marveling at the ancient traveler and his accompanying artifacts and clothing on display. Ötzi's discovery stands as a monumental achievement in the field of archaeology, marking one of the most significant and captivating finds of the 20th century. Unearthed from the icy embrace of the Alps, Ötzi emerged as a time capsule, offering unparalleled insights into the distant past. His remarkably preserved remains, coupled with the wealth of artifacts found alongside him, have provided researchers with a treasure trove of information about ancient human life, culture, and technology. Moreover, Ötzi's discovery sparked widespread public interest and fascination, captivating imaginations around the world and sparking countless scientific inquiries. As scientists continue to unravel the mystery surrounding Ötzi, his legacy endures as a testament to the enduring quest for knowledge about our shared human history. Before we delve deeper into Ötzi's fascinating story, make sure to hit the subscribe and like button so you don't miss out on any future updates. Stay tuned because there are plenty more intriguing facts to uncover. Over the years, scientists have uncovered a treasure trove of information about the Iceman, from his final meal of dried ibex and deer meat with einkorn wheat to the surprising origins of his copper axe from Tuscany. Despite being remarkably well preserved, Ötzi's mummified body offers little insight into his appearance during his lifetime. However, thanks to a comprehensive genetic study, we now have a clear picture of what the Iceman looked like and where he came from. This groundbreaking research traces Ötzi's ancestry back to Anatolia, an ancient region that is now part of modern-day Turkey, shedding new light on his remarkable journey through the Copper Age. Now let's get right to the core of the mystery. How did Ötzi die? Was it just old age that took him, or did someone have a hand in his untimely demise? Researchers have made a terrifying discovery. It appears that an arrow wound was the reason for Ötzi's death. Oddly enough, there was no sign of the arrow that had pierced his shoulder. Did Ötzi experience an attack? Both scholars and the general public were drawn to the disaster theory, which suggests that Ötzi ascended the slopes of the Tisenjoch. According to this theory, he was either attacked on his way or at the pass, resulting in a fatal injury from an arrow deeply lodged in his left shoulder. Subsequently, he collapsed alone on the mountaintop, succumbing to his wounds. After Ötzi's body was exposed, it probably dried out swiftly due to the warm wind before being buried under layers of snow that froze over rapidly. Surprisingly, there were no indications of scavengers disturbing the body, and all his possessions remained exactly where they were found. Ötzi's fame skyrocketed, putting him in the limelight faster than a lightning strike. Books, documentaries, and even a movie brought his Neolithic life to a mysterious end. Where can we find Ötzi's mummy today? He's under the watchful eyes of scientists at the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Bolzano, Italy. Preserving and showing Ötzi's body in Bozen is really tricky. We want people to see him, but we also need to keep him safe. This delicate equilibrium requires sophisticated technology and considerable financial resources. Ötzi's exceptional rarity and enduring popularity demand careful management to ensure his continued accessibility to the public, while making sure we do it right to keep him looking good for years to come. Let's step back in time before Ötzi met his mysterious demise. When did this ancient traveler live, and what secrets does he hold from his time? Living between 3350 and 3105 BC, Ötzi, known as the Iceman, emerged from the depths of history. He was found tucked away in the Ötztal Alps, which is how he got his cool nickname, Ötzi. As the oldest mummy in Europe, Ötzi offers a rare glimpse into life during the Copper Age. The finding of Ötzi not only explains his preservation and burial, but also sheds light on Copper Age societies. Evidence of healed injuries, including a dagger wound on his hand and the fatal arrow shot, as well as suspected head trauma, point to a society that is accustomed to fighting and combat, presumably deploying a range of weaponry. Analysis of pollen concentration in Ötzi's stomach suggests that he traveled at various altitudes, supporting the notion of squad-based raiding warfare. These discoveries shed light on the dynamic and complex nature of Copper Age cultures, challenging preconceived conceptions about their lifestyles and interactions. Considering the severe injuries he suffered, including the arrowhead lodged in his shoulder, it appears probably that Ötzi met a violent end. But why did they kill him? There's a ton of guesswork and detective work going into figuring out his life story and how he ended up dying. How did the discovery of Otzi the Iceman impact the ongoing border dispute between Italy and Austria, and what unexpected outcomes surfaced from surveys? During the Treaty of Saint-Germain-en-Laye in 1919, they agreed upon the North and South Tyrol borders along the rivers Inn and Etsch. But here's the twist. The surrounding glacier made it difficult to determine the exact border, and they ended up placing it a little too far north. In October 1991, surveys revealed that Ötzi, despite draining towards Austria, was actually located 92.56 meters inside Italy. Initially, South Tyrol claimed ownership, but they graciously allowed the University of Innsbruck to continue their research. Despite meticulous excavations in 1992, the entire crime scene was not fully reconstructed. It took 20 years to create a detailed topographic map encompassing over 400 artifacts discovered at the site. Through the analysis of their distribution using computer-aided simulations, researchers determined that both the body and the objects had shifted downslope due to the movement of ice. However, they originally originated from an area measuring about 2 by 1 meters. This prolonged effort shed light on the dynamics of the site and provided valuable insights into Ötzi's final resting place. Since 1998, Ötzi has been a star attraction at the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Bolzano, the capital of South Tyrol. He's like a rock star from the past, drawing in a whopping 300,000 visitors every year to his special icy room. Ötzi's significance lies in the unique opportunity he provides to delve into the life and times of a Copper Age individual in a way never before possible. Katharina Herzl, speaking on behalf of the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Bolzano, Italy, where Ötzi resides, underscores this point by highlighting the extraordinary circumstances of his discovery. Unlike other archaeological finds, Ötzi's remains were found in the same environment where he lived and ultimately met his demise. This remarkable alignment offers researchers an unprecedented window into Ötzi's world, allowing them to study not just his physical remains, but also the context in which he lived. Through Ötzi, we gain invaluable insights into ancient cultures, lifestyles, technologies, and even the circumstances of death. As a result, Ötzi's legacy transcends mere archaeological curiosity, serving as a tangible connection to our distant past and a source of continuous discovery and understanding. Before moving into the detailed study of Ötzi's body, show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel for more intriguing archaeological findings. What secrets did the detailed study of Ötzi's body uncover, and is there a link between Ötzi and the discovery of the frozen soldiers? Scientists extensively examined Ötzi's body, utilizing various techniques. These techniques include measurement, X-ray imaging, dating methods, and microscopic analysis of tissues and last meals. This meticulous investigation extended to the objects found near him. Then, in August 2004, a remarkable discovery unfolded. 3 frozen Austro-Hungarian soldiers from the 1918 Battle of San Matteo were found on Trentino's Punta San Matteo. These soldiers had been missing since the 1918 Battle of San Matteo. they took one of the bodies to a museum for further study, shedding additional light on Ötzi's preservation in his icy environment. According to current estimations, Ötzi was roughly 45 years old, standing at around 160 centimeters tall and weighing about 50 kilograms at the time of his death. When unearthed, his body, weighing 13.75 kilograms, had only partially decomposed because it was quickly enveloped in ice after death. Early reports suggest that his penis and most of his scrotum were missing. However, this was later proven false. Pollen dust particle analysis and the isotopic makeup of his tooth enamel indicate that he grew up around what is now the village of Velterns in South Tyrol, north of Bolzano. Later in life, he relocated to a valley some 50 kilometers further north. The big surprise came in 2009 when they did a CT scan. It showed that Ötzi's stomach had moved up to where you'd expect to find the lower lung, and DNA sequencing has cracked the code surrounding Europe's oldest natural mummy, revealing its hidden secrets. When they investigated what was inside, they discovered ibex flesh, which DNA tests confirmed. This implies that he ate less than 2 hours before his death. They also discovered wheat grains. Ötzi may have eaten dried, fatty meat, such as bacon, from a wild goat in South Tyrol. His intestines revealed that he had 2 meals before dying, one around 8 hours earlier, consisting of sham meat, and the other a combination of red deer and herb bread, both including roots and fruits. He ate well-processed corn and wheat bran with these meals, most likely in the form of bread. They also discovered corn and barley chaff, flax and poppy seed grains, and sloe kernels, which are small blackthorn plums. They also found numerous wild berry seeds, which could have been his trip snacks. If this exploration of Ötzi's story has you on the edge of your seat, why not hit that subscribe button for more captivating content? How did they figure out what Ötzi ate a few months before? They used hair analysis to crack the case. It turns out that the pollen in the forest indicates his first meal occurred in a mid-altitude conifer forest. There was even more pollen found, likely from wheat and legumes, which someone probably grew. They also stumbled upon pollen from hot horn beans. This pollen was in fantastic condition, with the cells inside still intact, suggesting it was super fresh, maybe only about 2 hours old when Ötzi passed away. That indicates it was likely spring or early summer at the time. Since corn, wheat, and soy are harvested later in the year, it suggests that these meals were leftovers from the previous year. Pollen analysis suggests that Ötzi met his end during the early spring, likely when the mountains remained blanketed in snow. It's theorized that his body may have been left in an indoor setting, possibly for several months, allowing it to naturally mummify. As the mountain pass thawed, Ötzi might have been ceremonially buried atop the peak, symbolizing his tribe's authority over the land. However, the burial, initially dug into the ice, experienced some disturbance over time due to shifting ice flows until recent climate changes revealed its contents. This theory explains various anomalies surrounding Ötzi's discovery, including the unusual state of preservation, the presence of unfinished arrows, and the impracticality of his footwear and gear. This new interpretation leans on social theory, contrasting with the original disaster theory favored by Ötzi's initial research team. What are your thoughts on this intriguing new perspective? In addition to having an almost all-copper axe, Ötzi's hair was highly arsenic and copper-rich. This implies that he may have been interested in smelting copper. Additionally, it appears from the size of his tibia, femur, and pelvis that he was accustomed to taking lengthy excursions over steep terrain. Considering that Copper Age Europeans were not typically as active, it's possible that Ötzi worked as a shepherd in the highlands. With the assistance of sophisticated 3D scanning technology, experts have created a digital recreation of Ötzi's face for display at the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Bolzano, Italy. The image shows him looking older than 45 years, with deep brown eyes, a beard, and a lined face. His hollow cheeks give him a weary and somewhat unkempt appearance. What insights have come to light about Ötzi's health? It turns out that Ötzi had a bout of whipworm, a type of intestinal parasite. After doing a CT scan, they found that several of his right ribs were fractured. This might have happened because he was lying face down or being crushed by ice after he died. Was Ötzi given a proper burial? The discovery of Ötzi lying face down in the melting ice of the Simulaun Glacier has sparked numerous theories about his final moments. In 2010, a study proposed an intriguing possibility that Ötzi's exceptional preservation was not accidental, but the result of a deliberate burial. According to this hypothesis, the items found with Ötzi may not have been tools for mountain survival, but rather provisions for a journey to the afterlife. This perspective suggests that Ötzi's death was not merely a random event, but may have been part of burial rites or even the political strategies of his time, providing valuable insights into European prehistory. They discovered a few of his fingernails and what are known as Bose lines, which show that he became ill 3 times in the final 6 months of his life. 2 months before his death, the last illness struck and persisted for a few weeks. Ötzi's skin was lacking its outermost layer, which makes sense given that he was mummified in ice. Ötzi possessed notably darker skin, as light skin tone genes did not become common until around 4,000 to 3,000 years ago. The DNA of Ötzi and other ancient people shows that light skin color genes took thousands of years to spread over Europe. His teeth were horrible, with numerous cavities, probably caused by eating loads of grains and carbs. In 2012, they conducted DNA testing and discovered that he was lactose intolerant. That suggests lactose intolerance was probably rather common in his day, even though farming and dairying were more common. When they examined Ötzi's lungs, they discovered they were completely coated with soot, perhaps from his frequent use of open fires for warmth or cooking. If you're finding this content fascinating, why not show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel? Can you believe they found tattoos on his body? Tattoos, even back then? You might raise an eyebrow, but it's true. They discovered not just 1 or 2, but a whopping 61 tattoos on him. Let's explore the captivating world of Ötzi's body art and uncover the stories behind these ancient tattoos. Ötzi was sporting 61 tattoos, 19 sets of black lines in all. These lines ranged in length from 7 to 40 millimeters and were fairly thin, measuring between 1 and 3 millimeters in width. In addition to a cross-shaped tattoo on his right ankle and behind his right knee, he also had lines around his left wrist and down his torso, including on both sides of his lower back. His legs held a majority of his tattoos in 12 sets of lines. They found that the tattoos were created using pigment from fireplace ash or soot during a microscope examination. This pigment had been meticulously rubbed into small incisions or punctures on his skin. Ötzi's tattoos appear to have been done repeatedly, as they are mostly dark. Ötzi's skeleton's X-rays showed wear and tear in several of the places where he had tattoos, including deterioration common with aging or physical stress. This included more obvious degradation in his knee and ankle joints, as well as conditions like osteochondrosis and moderate spondylolysis in his lower back. There is a notion that his tattoos, like acupressure or acupuncture, were an early form of pain relief. This is intriguing because Ötzi lived at least 2,000 years before these techniques were first recorded as being used in China around 1000 BC. For example, 9 of his 19 tattoo sets are located exactly on or close to modern acupuncture sites. The majority of the others are along energy routes or meridians, often over arthritis-affected joints. The tattoos on his abdomen could have been a way to ease the discomfort from whipworm, a gut bug they believe he suffered from. Initially, Ötzi was thought to hold the title of the oldest tattooed mummy on record, but this notion changed in 2018 when tattoos were discovered on Egyptian mummies from around the same period. Many of Ötzi's tattoos were overlooked because they were hard to see with the naked eye. In 2015, scientists used non-invasive multispectral imaging to take pictures of his body. This technique captures images at various light wavelengths that we can't see, and it helped uncover the rest of his tattoos. Ötzi's clothing was really striking. He wore a coat, a cloak made of woven grass, trousers, shoes, a belt, and a loincloth. Different animal skins were used to make the leather clothing. His head was covered by a bearskin hat fastened with a leather chin strap. His snow-traversing boots included broad, waterproof designs with bearskin bottoms, deer-hide upper panels, and an interior net of tree bark for added comfort. Soft grass served the purpose of modern socks, keeping his feet warm inside his shoes. He used sinew and vertically oriented leather pieces to sew together his coat, trousers, belt, and loincloth. He attached a purse to his belt containing essentials like a scraper, drill, flint flake, bone awl, and dried fungus. It's hard to believe that skilled shoemakers existed even 5,300 years ago. However, a Czech scholar who recreated the shoes found them incredibly detailed, hinting that skilled shoemakers might have existed. These replicas were so impressive that a Czech company thought about selling them. On the other hand, British archaeologist Jackie Wood proposed a different idea, suggesting that what we think are Ötzi's shoes could actually be the top part of snowshoes. She thinks the object we believed was part of a backpack might be the wooden frame and netting of a snowshoe, maybe with some animal hide for face protection. Sheepskin was used to make Ötzi's leather loincloth and hide coat. Genetic tests showed that these sheep were more like today's domestic European sheep than their wild relatives. Surprisingly, the skins of at least 4 different animals were used to craft the clothing pieces. A portion of the coat was from a domesticated goat whose Central European mitochondrial lineage is still present. It's interesting to note that the leggings were made from the leather of domesticated goats. Similarly, a pair of 5,000-year-old goat leather leggings were discovered in Schinde, Switzerland. The cattle used to make the shoelaces were genetically related to European cattle. His fur hat was manufactured from a sort of brown bear that is still present in that region, and his quiver was fashioned from deer from the wild road. What secrets lie within Ötzi's survival kit? Was it meant for his earthy journey, or something more mystical, perhaps a voyage to the other world? Imagine over 400 artifacts scattered around the site where the Iceman was found, each telling a story of its own. Among them we find medicinal fungus, a natural remedy from ancient times believed to have healing properties. And what about those arrows, carefully crafted with notches for precision? They speak of a skilled hunter ready to fend off danger or secure his next meal. Ötzi's belt and pouch, a practical accessory for any journey, held essential tools for survival. Flint tools, awls, and retouchers are meticulously crafted for specific tasks, from shaping tools to repairing equipment. But perhaps most intriguing of all is the tinder fungus, a vital ingredient for starting fires in the unforgiving wilderness. And let's not forget the needle, a humble yet indispensable tool for sewing and mending clothing. And finally, the arrowheads, symbols of protection and power, meticulously crafted for precision and potency. As we delve into Ötzi's survival kit, we uncover a treasure trove of ancient wisdom and ingenuity, offering a glimpse into the challenges and triumphs of life in the Copper Age. Researchers from Ireland and Italy presented their results in a Scientific Reports journal article. The team examined mitochondrial DNA extracted from 9 pieces of 6 of Ötzi's clothing items, including his loincloth and fur cap, as well as Ötzi himself. Check out what they found. Among the discoveries were a U-handled copper axe, an ash-handled knife with a shirt blade, and a quiver filled with 14 arrows. 2 of these arrows were broken, had flint tips, and even had stabilizing fins. The other 12 arrows were unfinished without their tips. The quiver also contained an object that was likely used to sharpen an arrow point, an unknown instrument, and what appeared to be a bowstring. An unfinished yew longbow with a length of 1.82 meters was also discovered. Ötzi carried a stash of berries, a pair of birch bark baskets, and 2 types of polypore mushrooms tied with leather strings. One of the mushrooms, the birch fungus, has therapeutic characteristics that could help combat intestinal worms, demonstrating Ötzi's inventiveness in curing. The second mushroom was perfect for lighting fires, a necessary ability for life in this tough environment. This set had pieces from over a dozen different plants, as well as flint and pyrite to make sparks. Ötzi's copper axe is really cool. It has a long handle, about 60 centimeters long, made from nicely shaped wood. The handle has a neat right-angled bend near the top where the blade attaches. About the blade itself, it's 9.5 centimeters in length and is made of nearly pure copper. They used cold forging, polishing, honing, and casting to make it. Even though people knew about copper ore in the Alps back then, research indicates that the copper used in this mix actually came from southern Tuscany. To keep the axe head secure, they used birch tar and tight leather straps. These straps held the axe head in place, snugly inserted into the curved part of the handle. The fact that the blade protrudes from the straps shows that it was heavily used for chopping and cutting back in the day. Having an axe like this wasn't just about chopping wood, it was a status symbol. Show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel for more intriguing archaeological findings. Was Ötzi a leader? His possessions not only reflect his status as a leader, but also provide insight into the intricate social dynamics of his era. Imagining Ötzi with those impressive weapons like daggers, axes, bows, and arrows, symbols of authority and prowess, makes you wonder, doesn't it? If not a leader, then what role did he play in his community? The stone and copper components of these artifacts are identical to those found in contemporary floodplain tombs, but the preserved, highly sophisticated clothing is the most stunning feature. The care with which diverse animal skins of opposing colors were picked and matched, as well as the elaboration and coordination of the outfit, indicate a complex encoding of role and personal identity. His coat and belt, adorned with symbolic imagery reminiscent of monumental stone stelae, hint at a deeper layer of meaning. Could Otzi have been more than just a tribal chief? Were these symbols a link to something sacred or ancestral? Ötzi may have been a revered tribal chief, while later stelae honor impersonal, maybe sacred ancestral identities. The growing abstraction of power roles may have been a byproduct of the growth of increasingly formalized political systems. And speaking of Ötzi's genetic code, scientists decoded it back in 2012, but they didn't stop there. By 2023, they had come up with an even better version, with fewer mistakes and less contamination from modern humans. In 2012, researchers delved into Ötzi's genetic history and uncovered that his paternal lineage was traced back to the GL91 group. This group is identified by specific genetic markers, including M201, P287, P15, L223, and L91. Later, they looked closer at his DNA and saw that Ötzi fell into subgroups FGC 5672 and L166 under the larger category of L91. However, they couldn't pinpoint his exact subgroup within this classification. Currently, the GL91 genetic group is found primarily in South Corsica, hinting at Ötzi's ancestral connections to this region. Ötzi's maternal DNA puts him in the K1 subgroup, but he doesn't match any of the known branches like K1A, K1B, or K1C. After Ötzi, this distinct lineage has been tentatively given the designation K10. Research confirms that his mitochondrial DNA belongs to a unique European group. When we look at his genetic connections on a larger scale, Ötzi shares the strongest similarities with Southern Europeans, especially isolated communities like the Corsicans and Sardinians. His lineage is associated with the first European farmers who displaced the hunter-gatherer populations and relocated to Europe in the 7th millennium BC from Anatolia. Additionally, Ötzi's DNA revealed that he contained genetic markers of Borrelia burgdorferi and was at high risk for heart disease and lactose intolerance, suggesting that he may have been the first person to contact Lyme disease. Later research, nevertheless, indicated that this might be a distinct species of Borrelia. The 2023 study on Ötzi's genetic composition found that he had a lower proportion of European hunter-gatherer ancestry. Additionally, he exhibited a preponderance of Anatolian farmer heritage, the highest among that era's European nations. Based on this research, farmers from the late Stone Age account for about 90% of Ötzi's genetic origin. That period began approximately 40,000 years ago. Comparing it to other human remains from the Copper Age when Ötzi lived, that amount is exceptionally high. Enjoying the video? Before we continue, make sure to tap the like button and subscribe to our channel. That way you'll always be the first to know about our latest videos. The newer analysis found something unexpected: no traces of steppe-related ancestry in Ötzi's DNA. This is different from what they found back in 2012, and they think it's because modern people's DNA may have mixed in. It makes sense, since those people who were herders on the western steppe arrived in Central Europe considerably later, circa 2900 BC. The little genetic effect of Western hunter-gatherer implies that in Ötzi's territory at the time, the fusion of Anatolian Neolithic farmers and WHG was still going on. Researchers examining genes linked to physical attributes suggested that Ötzi probably had lighter skin than Mesolithic WHGs. They also proposed that his skin might have been darker than that of modern Europeans. Additionally, they indicated that Ötzi may have experienced baldness and could have been prone to health issues related to obesity. The genetic research on other ancient skeletons indicates that Ötzi's brown eyes, brown hair, and darker skin tone align with those of Europe's Neolithic Anatolian migrants. According to Ian Mathieson, a population geneticist at the University of Pennsylvania, these findings are consistent with what we know about nearby populations. These groups adapted swiftly to the European environment, characterized by less sunlight, which favored skin capable of efficiently synthesizing vitamin D. Consequently, genomes reveal that Europeans possessed considerably lighter skin tones by the Bronze Age. From the perspective of the now more mature field, it's nice to see people going back generating higher quality data and doing justice to this legendary figure, Mathieson added. Researchers previously assumed that Ötzi's skin was hairless due to mummification and millennia of exposure to the elements. But why do artistic depictions of Ötzi consistently show him as hairy? Albert Zink, who leads the Urach Institute for Mummy Studies in Bolzano and co-authored the new study, notes that these depictions typically show Ötzi with abundant and untamed hair, despite historical evidence of early comb usage. However, genetic analysis reveals that Ötzi, aged in his mid-40s at the time of death, carried genetic markers linked to male pattern baldness. This challenges the common perception that he resembled the typical long-haired caveman, suggesting instead that he may have shared the appearance of many balding middle-aged men. The study also provides insights into Ötzi's ancestors. Johannes Krauss, leading the charge at the Department of Archaeogenetics at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, expressed genuine astonishment at the findings. He remarked that the genetic data painted a compelling picture, indicating that Ötzi's forebears made a direct journey from Anatolia without mingling with local hunter-gatherer communities. This revelation challenges previous assumptions and offers fresh insights into the intricate tapestry of human migration and settlement during the Copper Age. Geneticists have been using ancient DNA to trace the migrations that shaped the population of Europe, including those that brought Ötzi's ancestors to the Alps. From around 7000 BCE, farmers from Anatolia migrated across the Mediterranean, through the Balkans, and along the Danube River into Central Europe, bringing agriculture with them. Over time, these early Neolithic farmers mixed with local hunter-gatherers, resulting in a blend of DNA from both groups across much of Europe by the end of the 4th millennium BCE, a genetic legacy still visible in modern Europeans. Ötzi's ancestry is predominantly from these Anatolian farmers, accounting for over 90% of his genome. Surprisingly, his genetic makeup includes the largest fraction of this heritage found among Europeans of his time. It really seems like Ötzi inhabited a rather secluded environment in the Alps where there wasn't much movement happening in the area, says Zink, highlighting the challenging accessibility of the region and the low population density during Ötzi's time. He points out that the hunter-gatherer communities in the region were not large either. This scenario aligns with Ötzi having a significant ancestry from his Anatolian farmer ancestors and a comparatively minor genetic influence from the local hunter-gatherer populations. It fits with the environment he resided in during that era. The Alps served as a significant natural barrier, keeping Ötzi's population relatively isolated from those living north or west of the mountain range. Ötzi's genetic makeup indicates minimal mixing with people from those regions. The influence of hunter-gatherer ancestry in Ötzi's genome is relatively small, emerging only a few dozen generations before his time, implying that Europe's earlier hunter-gatherer communities likely persisted south of the Alps until around 5000 or 4000 BCE. Furthermore, the study dismisses any connection between Ötzi and the herding peoples from the Russian steppe who migrated westward and played a role in shaping European populations. Previous DNA analyses of Ötzi's steppe origins were likely contaminated with current DNA, which still contains remains of that ancestral relationship. It's significant that we now have a high-quality genome for Ötzi, especially considering that the previously reported one from 2012 was tainted by about 7% modern DNA contamination, says geneticist David Reich of Harvard University, who wasn't part of the study. Having reliable data from this unique individual is invaluable. Ötzi's mummified body bears the physical evidence of a rugged existence, with indications of broken ribs, a broken nose, dental issues, and intestinal parasites. Furthermore, his right hand displays a deep cut nearly down to the bone between the thumb and forefinger, possibly incurred while defending against a blade in the days leading up to his demise. Beyond these visible scars, Ötzi's genetic analysis offers intriguing insights into his health. Ötzi's genetic predisposition to cardiovascular diseases challenges the notion that such ailments are exclusive to modern civilization. According to Zink, this shows that the risk is influenced by both lifestyle and genetic factors. Furthermore, while Ötzi also carried predispositions for type 2 diabetes and obesity, his active lifestyle and diet likely prevented these conditions from manifesting. After a decade, scientists have revisited Ötzi's genetic blueprint using advanced methods and updated information, resulting in a vastly improved understanding of his genetic makeup. A recent study published in Cell Genomics presents surprising insights into the physical appearance of Ötzi. Contrary to previous depictions, Ötzi likely had dark eyes and darker skin pigmentation, challenging the common perception of his appearance as lighter-skinned. Additionally, the study suggests that Ötzi faced a timeless struggle. He was experiencing hair loss, a condition that continues to affect people today. The study compared Ötzi's DNA with that of other ancient individuals to suggest that he mainly descended from Anatolian farmers who brought agriculture to Europe around 9,000 years ago. These farmers likely traveled from what is now Turkey to regions like Greece and the Balkans. Ötzi's genetic makeup indicates limited mixing with the hunter-gatherer populations already living in Europe at that time. This suggests that Ötzi's community was relatively small and isolated in their remote mountain environment, away from the bustling activity of other European populations. October 2013 brought some interesting news to light. 19 people from Tyrol were found to be related to the renowned Iceman Ötzi. Like Ötzi, they were all members of the same Y-DNA haplogroup GL91. This implies a potential relationship with him or ancestry from his close kin. If you're enjoying this journey through history, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. More than 3,700 men from Tyrolia who gave blood had their DNA examined by researchers from the Institute of Legal Medicine and Innsbruck Medical University. Remarkably, they discovered that roughly 19 people, or 0.5% of them, shared a paternal group with Ötzi, who had lived for more than 5,300 years. In May 2012, researchers stumbled upon another incredible finding about Ötzi. His blood cells were shockingly well preserved. These are the oldest human blood cells ever discovered that are still in one piece. Normally, in ancient bodies like his, blood cells are either really tiny or broken into pieces. But Ötzi's blood cells look just like those you'd find in someone alive today. They're the same size and shape. Back in 2016, scientists were on a quest to uncover the secrets of Ötzi's belly. They took 12 samples from his stomach and intestines to study the bacteria inside. What they found was surprising. Ötzi had a type of bacteria called Helicobacter pylori, but not just any kind. It was a rare strain usually seen in people from South and Central Asia today. This ancient bacteria in Ötzi's gut was similar to what's found in folks from northern India nowadays, but Ötzi's version is way older. His stomach was packed with food, barely digested. In 2018, researchers examined Ötzi's stomach and intestines thoroughly to learn more about the Neolithic era's nutrition. They took small samples from his stomach to examine the last meal he had before passing away. It broke the myth that Ötzi was a vegetarian somewhat surprisingly. Otzi the Iceman's dietary habits offer a fascinating glimpse into the intricacies of his ancient way of life, which was predominantly centered around agriculture and animal husbandry. Despite the reliance on domesticated crops and livestock, Otzi's diet also retained a strong connection to the untamed wilderness of the mountains, which likely held significant cultural and symbolic importance. The residues of consumed cereals, potential traces of cheese, and grains found in pottery mingled with his food all provide evidence of regular village activities. Additionally, his attire, including garments made from goat and cattle skin, reflects the utilization of domesticated animals in everyday life. However, Otzi's last meals include meat sourced from hunted deer and ibex, underscoring the ongoing interaction between humans and the wild for sustenance. Furthermore, his headgear, possibly crafted from bear skin, highlights the integration of elements from the natural environment into his attire and lifestyle, revealing a deep connection to the mountainous terrain he inhabited. Rather, scientists discovered proof of a varied diet that included both vegetables and meats. His stomach held remains of ancient wheat known as einkorn, red deer meat, and herbs. By using advanced techniques like atomic force microscopy and Raman spectroscopy, scientists figured out that Ötzi probably ate fresh or dried wild meat. And they found charcoal bits in his gut, suggesting he might have used fire to dry or smoke the meat before eating it. Exploring the puzzle of Ötzi's demise reveals a story full of guesswork and scientific research. Ötzi's demise was a mystery that puzzled experts for a decade. Initially, some speculated he might have succumbed to the harsh elements of a bitter winter storm. Others floated the theory of a ritualistic sacrifice, perhaps due to his potential importance in his community. This conjecture drew parallels to similar discoveries of ancient bodies in peat bogs, such as the Tolland Man and the Lindo Man. However, a significant breakthrough came in 2001 when X-rays and a CT scan unveiled a startling revelation: an arrowhead embedded in Ötzi's left shoulder. Remarkably, his coat showed a corresponding tear, aligning perfectly with the wound. This crucial find led researchers to conclude that Ötzi's demise was likely a result of severe blood loss caused by the arrow injury. They concluded that such an injury would have been extraordinarily severe, even with the current state of medical understanding. A closer inspection also showed that he had cuts on his hands, wrists, and chest. In addition, there were bruises and indications of what looked to be a strike to the head. Before he passed away, a particularly deep cut at the base of his thumb had touched the bone and was not healing. How did Ötzi meet his death? The circumstances surrounding Ötzi's demise have long intrigued researchers and sparked numerous theories. Initially, when his mummified remains were first discovered, experts presumed that he had perished in a tragic mountaineering mishap. Speculation abounded regarding the precise nature of his demise, ranging from accidental falls into crevices to exposure to the harsh elements, or even a misstep on the icy terrain leading to a fatal tumble. However, a significant breakthrough came in 2012 when a detailed analysis of Ötzi's body provided compelling evidence suggesting foul play. Examination of his remains revealed signs of traumatic injuries, including a deep arrow wound in his shoulder. This revelation shifted the narrative surrounding Ötzi's death from an accident to a possible homicide, raising questions about the circumstances and motivations behind his violent end. Ötzi's remains bore the marks of two notable injuries, each offering tantalizing clues about the circumstances of his demise. The first injury, discovered during X-ray examination in 2001, revealed a flint arrowhead lodged in his left shoulder, signaling a traumatic encounter with a projectile weapon. Additionally, Ötzi suffered a severe head wound, suggestive of a violent confrontation, possibly inflicted by a blunt object. Initially, researchers engaged in debates over which injuries proved fatal, probing the extent of damage inflicted by each. However, a pivotal study in 2012, published in the Journal of the Royal Society Interface, provided clarity on the matter. Through meticulous analysis, scientists concluded that it was the arrow wound rather than the head injury that ultimately led to Ötzi's demise. Ötzi's fate was sealed by the devastating impact of the arrowhead, which penetrated his left shoulder blade and inflicted critical damage to a vital artery, the subclavian artery nestled beneath the collarbone. The severity of the injury suggests that Ötzi may have succumbed to blood loss within a remarkably short span of time, possibly mere minutes. The study found that Ötzi's red blood cells, amazingly intact after 5,000 years, exhibited remnants of a clotting protein that quickly develops in human blood after a wound, but fades soon after, suggesting that he did not survive the wound. Ötzi's tragic end is now widely understood. The arrow that shattered his shoulder blade caused severe damage to vital blood vessels and nerves. This led to fatal complications near his lung, ultimately causing him to bleed to death. Furthermore, interesting results from 2003's DNA testing revealed that Ötzi's possessions had blood traces from at least 4 different people. There was blood on his knife, on one arrowhead in his quiver, in 2 different sets, and on his clothing in a 3rd set. This could indicate that Ötzi wounded 2 individuals with the same arrow and was able to recover it each time. He might have even been carrying someone on his back if the blood on his coat came from someone he was helping. It is possible that someone flipped Ötzi over after he passed away in an attempt to take out the arrow shaft because of how he was discovered, face down with his left arm folded across his chest. In fact, Ötzi is cited as proof of battle in prehistoric periods in the 2020 Cambridge World History of Violence. In 2010, yet another notion regarding the site of his death surfaced. Alessandro Vanzetti and his team from Sapienza University of Rome suggested something intriguing about Ötzi's final resting place. They think he might have originally died lower down the mountain, but was later buried higher up. They based this idea on the items found near Ötzi and where they were located. They speculated that he was placed above what seemed like a stone burial mound. However, as the ice melted and refrozen over time, his body might have been moved downhill with the melting water. Researchers at the University of Innsbruck acknowledge the possibility that natural processes could have caused Ötzi's body to shift from its original location. There are differing opinions among researchers regarding this matter. Some researchers acknowledge this possibility. However, there are doubts regarding the idea that stones surrounding Ötzi serve as a burial platform. However, according to biological anthropologist Albert Zink, Ötzi's bones show no indication that his body was relocated downhill. And if his body had been moved uphill, it probably would have disrupted the blood clots from his arrow wound. Despite these debates, it remains probable that Ötzi met a violent end. Was Ötzi truly a solitary figure, or were there others like him? While there's no concrete evidence of similarly spectacular discoveries, intriguing artifacts from the same period have surfaced in similar high-altitude alpine locations. Think axes, daggers, and arrowheads, relics of a bygone era waiting to tell their tales. Some experts suggest these findings could be the result of chance losses by travelers or shepherds, while others theorize they might be part of buried caches hidden away for safekeeping. But the plot thickens when we consider the Schneedejoch, another high-altitude alpine pass boasting a similar landscape and gradual glacial thawing. Here, fragments of clothing, a wooden bow, a quiver with arrows, and even shoe fragments have been unearthed, dating back to the early 3rd millennium BCE. While no bodies have been found, these discoveries hint at the existence of collapsed graves akin to Ötzi's resting place. Could there be more ancient secrets waiting to be uncovered beneath the icy depths of the Alps? Only time will tell as we continue to unravel the mysteries of our ancient past. The study raises intriguing questions about Ötzi's place in his ancient community. Was he an outlier, or did he represent the norm for people living in the region 5,000 years ago? Unfortunately, this study doesn't provide definitive answers regarding Ötzi's community during his lifetime and his dramatic demise. To understand this, scientists need to discover more individuals from Ötzi's era in the region, a task that is currently underway. Zink and his team are actively collecting genetic data from Ötzi's contemporaries in South Tyrol and Trentino, Italy. While they haven't found another mummy like Ötzi yet, they have located approximately 100 skeletons from the same time period. This endeavor aims to provide a clear picture of the ancient groups that coexisted with the Iceman. We hope to learn more, Zink says, to gain a better understanding of whether Ötzi was a typical individual of his time, or perhaps differed in some way from others. After undergoing countless samplings and advanced analytical tests, Ötzi stands as the most extensively examined mummy in archaeological history. Unlike the deliberate mummification process seen in Egyptian dynastic mummies, Ötzi's preservation is not believed to be the result of human intervention. The remarkable state of Ötzi's body has been a central focus since its initial discovery, surpassing the preservation of more recent bodies found in comparable glacier settings. This exceptional level of preservation underscores Ötzi's significance in unraveling the mysteries of the past. Ötzi's attraction remains even after the 3 decades since his unearthing. This ancient mummy serves as a portal to an era vastly distant from our own. one devoid of digital marvels, space exploration, and the technological miracles we take for granted today. Ötzi's clothes and equipment suggest a deep grasp of his surroundings, demonstrating mastery of the flora, wildlife, and tools of his day. Future research using cutting-edge technologies will reveal more about Ötzi's mysterious life and times, shedding new light on the enigmatic life and times of this prehistoric traveler. Ötzi, the ancient ice mummy, continues to captivate people worldwide with his remarkably preserved body, offering a fascinating glimpse into the distant past. Despite the passage of 5,300 years, the intrigue surrounding Ötzi only grows stronger, attracting people's curiosity from all over the world. From his mysterious tattoos to the secrets hidden within his genetic code, Ötzi's story is one of never-ending interest and learning. What's the most intriguing aspect and what's the most mind-blowing detail in Ötzi's tale? Let us know in the comments below. As we wrap up this fascinating journey through history, we hope you've enjoyed uncovering the mysteries of Otzi the Iceman with us. But don't worry, there's always more to discover. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Thank you for watching.